Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. How you doing today? Michael Zuber, one rental at a time with my good friend Dion from Dion Talk. How you doing, sir?
Howdy, Mike. Ready for round three?
Yes, and this video concept actually comes or is inspired by Grant Cardone. I did not watch the video, but it was in my feed. It basically had him and one of his daughters, I think Charlotte, and they were talking. He was basically saying, "What are you teaching your kids about money?" So I'm like, I think that would be a good concept for Dion, right? When you start doing real estate, you're 90K in debt, you're divorced, you got 3 kids, as I remember. So I'm curious, what are you teaching them or have taught them? And I'll share my experience as well.
So it's funny that it comes from a Grant Cardone episode because I watch a lot of his stuff. I love his energy,
Yes.
not his investing strategies.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone, Chris Crone, same thing. Just the way they present, I can watch that for motivation.
Nice.
But I do have 3 kids. I've always been really good at keeping custody of kids, never been good at keeping a woman around. And to me, why this is a great topic to bring up is for my kids' childhood, I think I gave horrible, terrible advice. I made it to 40 without ever having $1,000 in the bank. I was planning on a Marine Corps retirement, a law enforcement pension. After Desert Storm, the Marine Corps downsized, so that didn't happen. I had an injury, got out. After 2008, the police department laid me off because of the recession. So I don't have those 2 ways to retire. So my kids pretty much grew up thinking, you basically work until you die. That was the best advice that I had for them. After 40 and getting into rental properties and reaching financial freedom from a position of really bad debt to making work completely optional for the rest of my life in about 8 years as a single parent with 3 kids, they wouldn't listen to a word I said. They knew they grew up poor. And why listen to it? And I probably said this too, why get your advice from a poor person, right? But my Jedi mind trick was making a YouTube channel where I cover concepts in 10-minute microbytes where you can understand what is a cash on cash return? What is the difference between asset and liability? And introducing them to channels like Meet Kevin, Graham Stephan, where it's a younger presenter who has reached financial freedom. So my son will actually come to me sometimes now with a question about one of my videos, and he understands the concept, but I had to research for 3 days to make the video.
Wow.
So I don't think that I taught my kids as they were growing up very good money habits or even how money works, but the last 10 years have been a lot different.
So you're 40. What were the ages of the kids at 40 when you were 40?
So I'm around 51 now. So it's 11 years ago, 21, 15, 11.
So was the 21-year-old out of the house?
He was in college, racking up student loan debts, pursuing the American dream of a lot of debt to get a business information degree, business information systems management degree, some big long thing. Went to PayPal running a division for like $19 an hour with a bunch of college loan debt. But in the last year, him and his wife they killed $54,000 in student loan debt, got debt free, and have saved up over $17,000 towards their down payment on their first duplex.
Oh, I'm so excited. All right. Because the reason I asked that is so again, the kids at home were 15 and 11?
Yes, 15 and 11.
Okay. So they're both old enough to really remember dad not having money.
Not having money, moving to an apartment to get rental income from the house on our tax returns, which they thought was weird, but they got to go to a new school. Sometimes I've heard people say, I can't house that because my kids might change schools and I don't want to disrupt their life. I had a conversation with my 11-year-old and she was super excited. She was like, I get to be the new girl? Absolutely. I'm on board. Let's go. It was like a 10-minute conversation, full buy-in.
Full buy-in. Okay. So 11 years old. So, and then you got financial freedom 8 years, right? So she would have been 19.
Correct. Just moving out of the house, and all of a sudden, dad now never has to work again. Perfect timing.
Perfect. Empty nester, expenses go down. It's awesome. Yeah. So, but how was that transition? Do you think they noticed like 4 years in that, hey, things are different? Dad's less stressed. Do you think they saw stuff like that?
They did. And it was for 2 reasons. One, money stress. I'm a happier person when I'm not money stressed. I think all of us are.
I think so, yeah.
But I had pursued law enforcement for a long time. And when I left law enforcement and I got into teaching truck driving, making $17 an hour. So it was a pay cut from, I could have went and drove truck and made more money. I could have went back into law enforcement and made more money. But my daughter came to me one time, my the time, the 15-year-old. So she's probably 16 or 17 at the time. And I didn't cry in front of her, but this made me cry.
Oh no.
She came to me and she said, I'm so happy you're not a cop anymore, because you're happy all the time. You come home from work, you're full of energy. We do stuff. When you were a cop, you came home and we could tell, pretty much everybody you talked to for 11 hours at your workday, it was their worst day.
Yeah.
Suspect, criminal, didn't matter. That's why they were talking to you. Like I could say it without crying now. Nice. But it was really cool because never looked back. Thought, won't ever want to work in that field again.
Wow. Okay. So I'm trying to think. So did money or investing come up at all from like their like the two at home? Did that come up at all?
It did. And I was trying new things and hadn't reached success at it yet.
Okay.
My first 2 years as a tenant, I rented to a friend with no lease based on a handshake. Yeah. And it was horrible. Half done projects at the house. He moved out, rented the house out to someone else, was collecting rent on it and keeping it. I mean, I did everything wrong. So they thought, didn't work out in law enforcement, didn't work out as a truck driver, because now you're teaching, because those who can't teach, right? So you're at a CDL school instead of driving a truck. Yeah. And so there was a lot of humor in our family. But once the cash flow changed and all of a sudden we went from, driving old cars, but having to have 2 or 3 because one of them had to work to get me to work. Yeah. To we could buy any car we want in cash, because I've got the cash flow from properties. That part of my original cash flow was $700 a month going into an account that I don't touch, just for transportation. Nice. So never have a car loan again in my life, never pay interest, never have to negotiate based on lending at the car dealership. But that money, as it grows, I'll just buy the next car. Those were the changes that made them go, maybe he's onto something here. And
so what do you think now that your kids are in their 20s or almost in their 20s? I guess they're in their 20s now. Yeah. Will they be landlords? I guess is my question.
My son is on the path to do that now.
The oldest.
My daughters, one has developed management skills, and everywhere she goes, she becomes a manager and runs wherever she's working and grows that company. Yeah. And my 21-year-old is doing all the things we did at 21.
I gotcha. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Cause I bring that up because when I think about Teresa, I only had one. She wants nothing to do with being a landlord, nothing. And the mistake we made is we only showed her the downside, right? I remember cause again, she was like 15, 16. So she certainly was in high school when we were buying dumps, and we took her with us. And we only showed her the flea bag, carpet. We showed her the wrong stuff. So that stuck with her. We never showed her the finished product. And also we actually didn't talk about money enough. That was my biggest mistake. If somebody, because Teresa's really happy, she's wonderful, she's good-headed, she's productive, she's amazing, but we didn't talk about money enough. Didn't talk about investing enough. She got what she needed. She got half of what she wanted. And there's a difference in my vocabulary, need versus want. So she understood that, right? Needs and wants. But yeah, if I had one do-over, it would be to talk about money more often. That was my big miss.
I talked with my kids about it a lot once I started figuring things out and making mistakes and learning from them. And then finally finding Bigger Pockets blogs and reading some of yours and later, Rich Dad, Poor Dad and those kind of books. But it was really funny. My daughters had some friends over and I was talking about real estate. Yeah. And they're teenagers and I'm the old person. Why listen to anything that I'm saying? Right. I talked about cash flow. You don't have to work your whole life. You don't have to wait till 65 to retire. Pretty much anybody can do this in 10 years. And crickets, basically. Yeah. But a tenant knocked on the door and literally knocked on the door and said, "Hey, Dion, I went to a couple of banks and I got money because I can't get online to make the payment. Is it okay if I just give you cash?" And they rolled up 20s from ATMs of a rent payment. Said, "Can I just pay in cash this month?" Absolutely. I wasn't thinking about it. Took the money. Sure. Gave a receipt. Go back in, sit down. And all the kids came in and sat down. Wait, people just give you money? How does this work?
Tell me more.
So what you expose them to can impact whether they're going to be interested in it or not.
Oh, I should have thrown stacks on the table. Damn it.
Right.
Yeah. So folks, again, I freely admit, I didn't do that enough. She's now 31. We don't talk. We talk about money more now because I'm trying to like make up for old time or old things. But that was my biggest miss. And again, I carried baggage from being poor, right? And I didn't want her to feel or see any. I didn't want money to be her issue ever. So I think I overcorrected is what I think happened.
One of the kind of, I don't know if it's an analogy or a story that I would always run through with my kids is I'm focusing on money now so that I don't ever have to in the future. And sometimes you get the blank look. What do you mean by that? And I said, well, when somebody goes to fill up their car and they don't have a lot of money, they have to think, how much gas can I put in my car? Because I need money for groceries and the phone bill and all of these things that they have to think about. If you can focus on money enough to where you have a cash flow coming in to where you can just go fill your car, money doesn't have to be something you focus on forever, but for probably 4 to 10 years, if you can make it a focus, then that goes right back to that statement of live the life no one else will so you can live the life no one else can.
Yeah.
And that stuck with them.
Yeah, I would definitely say that once Olivia retired, Teresa kind of got it. Because again, we had both worked her entire life. So once mom started staying home, I think Teresa was a senior in high school, I think. Actually, no, I think she was in college. So she didn't really see it, but she knew it was going on. And then when I left, she was like, okay, I get it. I get it now. But yeah. Folks, talk about money with your kids, spending, investing, cash, do the math. Make them understand. Do it more. Don't make my mistake. So Dion, where can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom, and in the Bigger Pockets forums and the Bigger Pockets Facebook groups.
Very cool. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.